Your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Managers of the Port Arthur historic site are making a rare public appeal on gun laws, speaking out against any watering down of firearm restrictions. They told our politicians changing the laws would have a profound impact on the people who live with the consequences of the 1996 massacre.
A memorial that's a constant reminder of 35 lives cut tragically short. The infamous Port Arthur massacre would go on to rewrite history.
Whilst many people that were deeply affected by the tragedy have significantly moved on, there are many still in the Tasmanian community that continue to suffer from the horrific shootings 22 years ago.
Today, the site's management committee fronted an investigation into possible changes to firearm laws, speaking publicly about gun control for the first time in years, strongly opposed to any watering down of legislation.
The situation would be terrible in terms of Tasmania's reputation if Tasmania moved unilaterally on gun laws without the support of other states in Australia.
Just days after the 1996 massacre, the National Firearms Agreement was signed, a landmark crackdown on gun licences, sales and ammunition. It's a legacy still being felt today. Australia now internationally recognised for its strict regulation.
The gun laws was one positive thing that came out of the Port Arthur massacre, and I'd be very upset if they were weakened in any way.
I think they generally feel betrayed because the gun laws and its impact on the death rate has been widely acknowledged and supported by Tasmanians.
The inquiry comes after the Premier was forced to back down on controversial firearm changes proposed ahead of the March election.
We are not about in any way weakening Tasmania's gun laws. We would only act to improve them and strengthen them, as has happened in recent years.
Today also hearing from farmers, but they say gun laws do need to be updated.
They are genuinely a tool of trade for agriculture, whether that be for animal welfare, whether that be to deal with browsing wildlife, no matter what that is. But it must be done in a sensible regime.
The committee will release its findings in March next year. Michelle WISBEY, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania Police has released the name of the pilot tragically killed in a light plane crash in the remote southwest on Saturday. 30-year-old Nikita Jo Walker from Tranmere was on a routine flight to Melaleuca when her plane crashed into rugged terrain in the Southwest National Park. Ms Walker was originally from Queensland but moved to Tasmania to undertake training with Paravion at Cambridge. Her body was retrieved from the crash site yesterday, along with the plane's location transmitter. A report will now be prepared for the coroner. In developing news, hundreds of students who live in UTAS accommodation in Hobart say they're facing uncertainty tonight, with the university sending them a letter saying it's facing high demand for next year and is encouraging them to seek alternative housing. The letter says students entering their first year of university study and those from other parts of Tasmania will be prioritised. A Launceston Supreme Court jury has heard from the first 3 witnesses in the trial of a man accused of seriously assaulting a woman in her 90s at her Invermay home earlier this year. Shane Allen Weldon fronted court today, pleading not guilty.
Shane Allen Weldon stands accused of entering the property of Launceston woman Belle Ray Dix on April 9 this year in Invermay. He's pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of causing grievous bodily harm. The jury heard the crime started in the backyard, where Mr. Dixon Gray was painting the house. He gave evidence today saying Mr. Weldon entered the property and asked to jump over into the neighbour's yard. Mr. Gray said no, thinking there might be young children in the yard, and said he went on about his painting. He told the jury his next memory was being injured, lying on the ground. He recounted having blood in his mouth and on his face. But this was disputed by Mr. Weldon's defence, who say an altercation broke out between the pair, which resulted in Mr. Gray waking up injured on the floor. Mr. Gray says he went inside and found Ms. Dix unconscious on the floor, drowning in her own blood. She also took to the stand today, but says she has little memory of the day and only remembers waking up in hospital. The Crown told the court Mr. Weldon was later arrested in a nearby house. Constable Thomas Moyer told the jury he was one of 2 officers who found him in a bathroom, naked and wet. The jury were told he tried to handcuff him when Mr. Weldon is said to have stood up and thrown several punches. Constable Moyer said he then hit back, with another officer spraying capsicum spray on the accused. The trial is set to conclude by the end of the week, with a medical expert, several witnesses and police officers still yet to take to the stand. Jessica Moran, 7 Tasmania News.
Police have seized around $90,000 worth of drugs after raiding a property in Mayfield last week. 5 people have been charged with a range of offences, including trafficking and selling methamphetamine and dealing in the proceeds of crime. Detectives allege $12,000 cash, 5 firearms and about 90 grams of methamphetamine were found at the property. Further charges are expected, with the 5 accused set to appear in the Launceston Magistrates Court in January. And a man who carried drugs in his underwear is awaiting sentencing. Terry Simpson has pleaded guilty to smuggling a kilo of ice into Hobart. In sentencing submissions today, his lawyer said he wouldn't be giving evidence because it would be dangerous. He argued Simpson was doing the heavy lifting work by transporting the drugs, but wasn't well off. He remains in custody for sentencing next week. Improvements to critical infrastructure at one of Tasmania's busiest national parks will soon be underway, with the state government announcing a funding boost to address wastewater issues at Freycinet. But the move is already being criticised as a stopgap announcement for an area under pressure.
A typically busy summer day at Freycinet National Park, and its popularity is continuing to skyrocket.
Coles Bay's changed from a sleepy seaside village to now one of the most visited towns in Tasmania.
But it's no secret the infrastructure is struggling to keep up. Consultation for the draft master plan, finding addressing problems with wastewater is a critical priority.
Protecting the livability for our residents, protecting the environment and ensuring that we're meeting those visitors' expectations.
The government today announcing $365,000 funding for TasWater to conduct a feasibility study.
This is about getting on as a matter of priority with improving the water and sewage infrastructure in this precious place.
This is just a stopgap announcement just before the summer high season at Freycinet.
Calls for the study to be fast-tracked in order for the capital works to be completed quickly.
And obviously, when you're getting 300,000, 400,000 visitors a year to a national park, they expect the amenities to be there.
The Greens accusing the government of putting environmental pressures on the back burner, raising concerns the visitor footprint is trampling the natural beauty.
It's a very beautiful, fragile part of Tasmania. You cannot keep shoving visitors in there and expecting the park to stay in good health.
You either lock up the gate and tell the tourists not to come. That'll devastate the local industry and local community. Or you can start investing in the infrastructure to enable these parks to manage the numbers they've got.
Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
A quiet street in SNUG has found itself at the centre of a Tasmanian first project for recycling. The local council is trialling a new road surface made from waste glass, printer toner and hundreds of thousands of plastic bags.
Charlton Street in SNUG is undergoing a revamp of its road surface, but this is no ordinary asphalt. It's something called Reconifelt, and it's made from at least 15% recycled materials.
The process is actually no different. It's exactly the same, so that the team don't need to change their practices at all to put the product down. And as you can see, it looks like a normal asphalt product you'd see down on your ordinary street.
This small stretch of road contains recycled waste from almost 6,000 printer cartridges and soft plastics, the equivalent of 173,000 bags. It's processed into these black pellets and then melted into the mix.
It's actually melted down into an additive, so it's like sugar in coffee. So as soon as you put this in, it melts down. There's no microplastics, there's no pollution problems whatsoever.
If you work out how much single-use plastic's in this 500 metres of road, it's about equivalent of 2 years of single-use plastic collected from Kingborough. So it's a significant amount of plastic going in there.
As well as providing a new way to recycle problem waste, this surface is said to be more hardy, although it does come with a bigger cost.
The benefits are that all the testing is indicating that it will last around 15% longer, so we get a better whole-of-life cost.
Downer is in talks with other councils considering using the material. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A woman circumnavigating Australia has passed Tasmania's southeast cape. Lisa BLAIR left Sydney 51 days ago on her mission to become the first solo female sailor to circumnavigate the country without stopping and unassisted. This morning she filmed the milestone moment.
So the southeast cape of Tasmania, just over here, and I've just gone around it. And now I've just got the final leg of the journey through to Sydney, which is about 700 miles.
Weather permitting, she's predicted to reach Sydney on Sunday. Travellers to the state's northeast may have noticed a jolly figure popping up along the way. Nearly 100 Santa Clauses are spread across backyards and local businesses. And now organisers have chosen their favourite Father Christmas.
The winner from Labrina, this high-flying Santa rocks Christmas, taking out first prize in a competition spreading cheer to local communities.
I don't know if I want to get rid of him, he's pretty good.
He's suited up for summer with matching shades for Santa and Rudolph.
Lots of people stopping with photos. I think we've already had 5 today.
It isn't the only Santa being snapped. This couple from Malaysia stopping by Lilydale to lap up the lovable figure.
Wonderful, very nice.
They're spread right across the region, in the back of the ute or with some letters to boot. This one has a special delivery to the North Pole. The novelty is filling the stockings of local businesses who are thrilled by Lilydale's festive feeling.
Heaps of people come in, put their kids in front, just drive past, take photos. There's been plenty of people this weekend.
And the centrepiece symbolises the local Lions Club behind the idea. The club paid for the Santa suits so everyone could be a part of it.
People just keep stopping and taking photos. It's the talk of the town. It's put Lilydale on the map.
And it's only getting bigger. 90 Santas are dotted around town, 3 times more than last year.
The families seem to enjoy it just as much as the children.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares dropped to their lowest point in 2 years amid rising US-China trade tensions and a gloomy outlook for the local economy. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 129 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 72.22 US cents and 81.2 Japanese yen.
Queensland has beaten Tasmania by 4 wickets in its Sheffield Shield match at Blundstone Arena. Marnus Labuschagne top scored for the Bulls with 78 before second gamer Alex Pycroft claimed his wicket. The Tigers tried to hold out for a draw, but Queensland chased down its 413 run target at 5:30. Riley Meredith was best of the bowlers, taking 3 wickets for 70 runs. Tasmania is 4th in the standings with 2 wins, a draw and 3 losses.
Good evening. Temperatures close to average today as a cold front stalled over the west coast. Hobart 20, Launceston and Cressy the high around the state with 26, Burnie 22, Devonport a high of 24. A light shower or 2 over the west and far south but no major falls. Scottsdale and Fingal 24 degrees, Campania 23, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Ouse 22, Smithton, Low Head and Grove 21 today, Flinders Island 20 and Strawn 19. Now, some low-level cloud did stream over the west of the state and the south due to that onshore flow from that weakening cold front. There is convective cloud over remaining land areas. A middle-level cloud band extends from northwest WA to the Tasman Sea. More clusters are over the Coral Sea and the Gulf of Carpentaria, linked to low-pressure zones. Tomorrow, the high moves over the state as most of the mainland remains under the influence of that broad area of low pressure. A cold front approaches Western Australia, but well to the south. The winds, southwest to southeasterly at 5 to 15 knots, reaching 20 knots over the east, tending southeast to northeasterly at similar speeds during the afternoon. Variable winds to 10 knots inland. Tuesday in Hobart, a mostly sunny 22 degrees, 19 for Adventure Bay, sunny 2 for Tarraleah, warming up to 24 after a cool night. 25 the high for Launceston, mostly sunny, 20 the top for Devonport, okay for Bridport too, and 21 degrees. Burnie 19, partly cloudy, sunny for Strawn, 23, 21 for Marrawar. St Helens tomorrow, fine, possible morning drizzle though before it clears up, 20 the top, 20 for Swansea, partly cloudy but fine, same for Whitemark and 23 degrees. UV extreme everywhere apart from the very high 9 expected for Hobart. Now to Wednesday, a fine mostly sunny day, the start of the showers over the west and northwest on Wednesday night, and those showers will increase to rain on Thursday, heavy falls expected for the north with possible thunderstorms, and on Friday rain again with the heaviest falls over the north and east. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow, 35 in Adelaide, fine weather for Melbourne, a shower or 2 forecast for Sydney. And right now, sunny, Hobart 20 degrees, Launceston 24 and Devonport 21. A couple of good days ahead, Jo, but you won't need to water the garden on Thursday or Friday.
Certainly won't. Thank you very much for that, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.